kokoyo dula ona muda oyisomba walukwa de awala walukwa koye de awo yeah me adado kuwabo indelebe adado kuwabo ufuta opie me akosa kwa tiye puadole no tone baso me ba ye blue batwa moroga ya pla ye blue na lo me wa fitango me kaba wo to put na le mo wo bosika wa kaba wo to put na le wo bosika wa wo na le mo indelebe adado kuwabo mesaya indelebe adado kuwabo Utopie, Bukarabeo, Indelebo, Yeshanakue, Indelebo, Tenodanawe, Indelebo, Mosia Abiwe, Indelebo, Junior Abiwe. The fourth time. Yeah, I do.
Across the globe. I am a Francis and sort of the Liberia Papa.
You can't tell them, but dear Paisa, what a sepulchre of Puaka, you can go so
very shortly we will be just right here. As usual, we just
money crepo ni mumba dase ni mumwe ni muni nebie bomo no ikonyo debia oh ni muni bamanyite money crepo
the globe. Thank you for sharing your evening with us here this evening. I am the Francis and so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Thank you for being part of this all-important program here this evening on this informative edition here this evening. Thank you so much for being part of this program. We will get this program going in that little bit. Thank you so much for being part of this program. Welcome. Well, folks, we want to welcome you to this edition of LPRO TV Saturday Special. As usual, we'll bring you news, information, and entertainment right here from the Diaspora Internet Giant Stations, Liberia Public Radio, and LPRO TV. I am Alfonso Zienso right here this evening from the New England Bureau that's coming your way this beautiful Saturday evening here from the East Coast. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across. Thank you for sharing your Saturday evening with us. As usual, it's our honor obligation to always bring you news, information, and entertainment. We want to welcome all of our followers. Not forgetting my own boy right here in the ocean state of Rhode Island. I'm talking about Mr. Rudolph Coport Jr. right here within my own proximity, and also taking you to the McKinland of Phoenix, Arizona, political commentator Sekou Kone. Thank you for being here, and all of your beautiful people here this evening. Thank you for sharing your evening with me. As usual, always your participation into national discourse and some of the issues that are unfolding, trending inside Liberia. Well, the senatorial race is not much attention is being paid, but some are jumping ahead, making good political calculations. Well, the Front Page Africa, Liberia's investigative news outlet, is reporting that the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Chief Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, is now apparently taking charge. Now, well led to this, we're going to be looking at all of that and some other major news making headlines in Liberia. The response by the opposition political party following the address of the President of the Republic of Liberia State Affairs to the nations, and many more. Our national correspondent is based in central Liberia, Banga. You will be hearing directly outside of the nation's capital some of the things that are happening inside Liberia beyond the political seat. And we hope to bring you the editorial of the African Star newspaper headquarters right here in the ocean state of right here, Rhode Island. Also, partnership with the Liberia Public Radio. These and many more are going to be our talking point here this evening. I am Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRO TV. Going to be taking a quick commercial. We'll be right back and we'll go right to the editorial. Following the editorial, we will be having our talking point here this evening. By the way, to all of our followers, you can go to YouTube as well. In the YouTube channel, search box, just type in Liberia Public Radio and subscribe to our TV channel on YouTube, where you will be able to get an alert. You can also go to our official website, www.liberiapublicradio.com. Then you will watch also live video happenings as we broadcast right here. So there are so many alternatives now we are putting in place to give you quality news, reporting, objectivity. I am Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRO TV. I will be right back after this commercial commitment.
Has been tough, really tough but rewarding. From the beginning, you don't have the finance to do anything. You don't have the innovation right set up to do anything, but yet you believe in a vision. You believe that it's possible. And so, yes, the journey has been tough from the beginning. At the time, I had no foundation, no innovation, no creativity, no believability. But now, I look back 5 years ago, I am proud. I'm proud because there are many young people we've developed over the years, many of whom today at different universities are business owners, many of whom are solving problems at our community levels. We believe our start of business is to invest more in education, educating our young people to take ownership of their community, take ownership of what they do. So our business is basically innovation in the mindset. And I think we're proud today that we made a lot of milestones in that direction. Well, I think, to be honest, it's a feeling undescribable. I can't describe the feeling that I'm feeling right now. 50 influential person in the continent of Africa, Alex Divine from Liberia. This is sudden. It's actually sudden, but I think when the impact of the work speaks, it attracts good people to you. And I'm humble. I'm humble because I come from a country West Africa, Liberia, and it's a country that is engulfed with.
There you have it.
challenges.
There's
And in the
one of
midst
our
of that,
colleagues,
if
Mr.
the company
Ellis
can
Divine,
recognize
doing an
Alex
extraordinary
today,
job
I think it's
inside
something
Liberia
rewarding, and I'm
as
humbled by
well.
that. And I'd
And
like to
so we want to
dedicate
thank
this
him so much for
recognition to
the
my
many
country
things
and dedicate it to the many young people we're working with over time.
that he's doing inside Liberia. So
Well,
we
in the
want to
next
thank
2
him
years,
so much for all
I
what
want to
he's
see
doing
that
inside Liberia.
I've duplicated many of my kind. I'm a young man
We
who believes
respect
that
what is
no one
unfolding.
is responsible
So
for your
let's
success
get
as
this
a person.
program
No one
on
is
the way
responsible.
here
It
very
is
shortly.
yourself. It is
And
your
we
mindset.
will
It is
be
your
able
innovation.
to
You
bring
have
you this news and information. All right, we want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. That was a quick commercial commitment there from our friend and brother, Mr. Ellis Divine. Ellis Divine is the CEO of the Youth Group. He's helping the young Liberians inside Liberia, preparing them for the future of Liberia. Okay, quickly here, we want to bring you this editorial from our sister tide network here. That's the African Star newspaper editorial captioned African Star editorial objectivities and independence will guide our reportage and analysis. That's the editorial captions of the African Star newspaper in collaboration with the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Let's see here what the editorial is saying here today. A little over 6 years ago, October 25, 2013, we embarked on a formidable challenge of spearheading a free newspaper within the U.S. diaspora community. The African Star is a free newspaper published by the Atijat Incorporated, a domestic nonprofit organization with editorial offices in Philadelphia, Monrovia, London, Dakar, and headquarters in Providence, Rhode Island, respectively. According to the editorial, in 2017, we launched an online platform of the African Star newspaper that expanded our coverage and readership, that offers more content, features, and commentaries that are based on desire of our editorial reporters and correspondents to develop unparalleled news contents and analysis on and about Africa, according to the African Star newspaper. As we celebrate our 6th anniversary and entered our 7th year, our mission remains bridging the information gap created by the absence of an objective independent news organ dedicated to reporting and happenings and developments taking place within underserved communities, especially African community in Africa, according to the African Star newspaper. The paper went on to say, continent, our determination to remain an Afrocentric news outlet is unchanged. The paper went on. Equally so, our commitment to remain balanced and objective continuing to drive and guide our editorial policies and reportage. What distinguishes the African Star newspaper and its online platform from other news outlets is the African Star is driven by our commitment to maintain neutrality and objectivities in the coverage and analysis of events, according to the African Star newspaper. Secondly, the African Star is distributed free of charge to our readers. As such, our coverage is not motivated by financial considerations or political influence, according to the African Star newspaper. The paper argues we enter 2020, African Star will continue to provide a forum for the exchange of free and unhindered ideas from the different spectrums of the target populations and facilitate a positive sense of community amongst African residents within the United States and the diaspora, and those of our African continents, according to the editorial of the African Star newspaper. The paper went on to say, we believe that one of the threats, the structure to facilitate and accomplishments of our missions of the African Star media platform is to provide the highest qualities of news feature editorials and commentaries that answers what, when, where, and how. Answering these questions in our more professional objective, the paper says, legal and ethical manners offered informed service of our obligations to our readers and our profession as independent journalists, the African Star newspaper pointed out. We further believe that our editorial content will continue to champion the cause of unprivileged justice and the truth to ease the trust of our readers in the educational, informative, developmental, balanced, and entertaining news prepared by objectivities and independence, according to the African Star newspaper. The paper further said, as we are certain that this balance has always been pursued and respected and will be further enhanced in 2020 to beyond, because our objectivities and independence would never be compromised, because we hold it to our readers to remain consistently neutral in reporting the truth that is fostered by social responsibilities, according to the African Star newspaper. We are nevertheless aware that as we journey into 2020, the challenge of promoting African Star is the primary source of objective and professional news reportage, and analysis will remain at the apex of our reporting responsibilities as we strive to safeguard journalistic standards and societal values to deliver to the best of our abilities and our readership by remaining consistent in maintaining our Africans, most of our community and African continent. The paper went on to say. The paper said, moreover, we continue to be cognizant of the obligations of our readership to appear to be newsstands and to be available at their business centers, restaurants, entertainment outlets, homes, schools, offices, everywhere as feasible as possible, so that our African Star can be available when we are needed as part of our reading experience, according to the African Star newspaper. We are grateful thus far for the level of positive responses, excitement, and valuable review that have held and greeted our appearance of the African Star since its emergence, according to the editorials of the African Star newspaper. The euphoria from our readers across the United States, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa, to whom our platform is distributed free of charge, continuing to underpaint the buttress and steadfastness to mark African Star as a truly independent community newspaper. We hope to reach more readers worldwide in years to come, according to the African Star newspaper. In our tenacity to ensure that African Star reports the underreported, we are inspired to cover the present errant newsworthy development that occurs within the African community throughout the diaspora and our Africans in Europe, Asia, and Middle East, respectively. We honestly believe that the African Star is determined to measure up to its missions by requesting our readers to kindly inform us about the activities that are impacting the lives of our community and those that imposing demand contests within the African continent, according to the African Star newspaper. With certainty, African Star is here to stay, and we believe that as we together enter the 6 years of productive reportage, our mission remains to join it in the 7th year with confidence in our resolve to report the unreported, according to the African Star newspaper. We are proud of our team of volunteers who are committing their journalistic skill free of charge, as well as their editors, and guarantees the African Star as a community-free weekly newspaper and claimed online outlet, according to the African Star newspaper. As we celebrate our 6th anniversary and look forward to the challenging task ahead, we invite you to keep reading the African Star because we are here to stay. Overall, we pledge to work tirelessly to meet the growing demands of readers with news analysis that are balanced, factual, objective, and credible, according to the African Star newspaper. The paper wrapped out in this closing say, we strongly believe the African Star will continue to be guided by objective and best journalistic practices as the foundation that will direct us in reporting the unreported. That's a special editorial of the African Star newspaper in collaboration with the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I am Afonso Zienso right here at the New England Bureau Desk of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Again, you can catch her right by going to YouTube in the search engine, type in Liberia Public Radio and subscribe. You can also visit the official website of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV where you will watch live broadcasts as we try to expand our activities inside Liberia beyond the political seat of Monrovia. I am Afonso Zienso. Stay tuned right now. In a split second, we will get this program on the way. I will be right back.
What happened? Sumare, so money, what happened? What is that? You didn't know? You better put it there. I know. You didn't know? Suma, want to go put it here. You don't know the money you take from Greg. Put it there. Suma, you stupid. Oh. Ah, you happy? What do you mean by not happy? You make it person. You say eat or what? I tell the fool I eat it. And I worry they tell you what your money on behalf of somebody to me. How do you pay that time? You have to waste your money or else the police are going to pay for you. Look at it. You think that police are afraid to? You think that police are afraid to? Honey. You think that police are afraid? Who is this little loquacious organism making noise in my vicinity? None is there. You so far? Look at you tell this character you that your vicinity. And why Jana? Shut up. She's my wife. Honey, who is this Asian Australopithecus? Honey, I lost or complain to you. Ever one Suma, the fellow to my ear and worry that he don't want yet. I always told you to know better. You have to study human characteristics in order to know who to carry your eat and worry. Because humans are diversified. Now you listen to me. No, I will not listen. I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. Shut up. I'm not listening to you. I will not shut up. I want you to forget my vicinity. That's your forget. You tell this guy that you're forget. Look, I tell this guy told you. You bring it to me. Okay, I told you. The next time I see you here, I will dismantle the demonic joints. That your demonic joint you. That demonic joint. That will go call my grandpa. You will stop. Nonsense.
We want to welcome you. Thank you for being part of this program here this evening. As usual, we will always allow you to participate into our programs. As usual, the essence of this program is to give you voice to the many things that are happening in your country, in Liberia, and in the diaspora, wherever you are, to get a sense of what is happening, and also to give you voice to be part of the discourse in Liberia, the political discourse that is unfolding in Liberia. All right. Let's see it as, the vice president, the relationship of the president of the Republic of Liberia and that of the vice president has been a little bit with rough edge for some times that the media is been reporting following the bizarre interview by the vice president of the Republic of Liberia breaking silence, Chief Dr. Joy Howard Taylor of the coalition from the NPP, that's the National Patriotic Party political entity. What it's Liberia's informative news outlet, investigative news outlet, the front page is reporting that the vice president is taking charge, taking control. Well, that's quite interesting according to what front page is saying here, based on the appointment of a committee in the House. As you know, the Vice President is the President of the Senate. So when it comes to appointment, establishing committees and some other functionaries, it has to be with the consent of the Vice President. It appears in this case, the Vice President was not fully involved into this process. And according to what front page is saying, the Vice President moving forward will be very, very much vigorous. Let us highlight some of what the Vice President is saying, and the Chairman Emeritus of the National Patriotic Party of Liberia, Chief Cyril Allen, a former Managing Director of the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company during the presidency of now Liberia President in the Hague, Charles Gange Taylor. This is what Chief Cyril Allen said. The Chairman Emeritus of NPP, Chief Cyril Allen, at a ceremony marking the observations of the jail ex-president Charles Taylor, founder of the party, the 72th birth anniversary, called on the Weah-led government and some elements within the NPP not to undermine the party and the Vice President. This seems to be very, very much interesting news. Now, remember at some point in time, the MPP, where at some point in time he announced that they were suspending Vice President Joy Howard Taylor. That went on for quite a while, but now the Vice President was able to solidify her position apparently to gain strength of the National Patriotic Party, which is also part of the ruling coalitions of government in Liberia led by President George Weah, Dr. George Weah. Now Chief Cyril Allen is speaking out. He said, we want to send a warning out to the CDC. Also, we are part of the coalition to democratic change. We are a very effective unit within the foundations of the party. We play a very major role in constructing the coalition's document and developing the formula for the electoral process that we won. These are very, very, very strong statements coming from the NPP, of which Dr. Joy Howard Taylor is the Vice President of the ruling party or the ruling government, which is part of the coalition. It has been quite a while now. We haven't heard anything specific from the NPP because they had their own little bit ups and downs, where at some point in time they were calling for the suspension or they has expelled or suspended the Vice President. There was some sort of friction that was created, but the Vice President, using his own political persuasions or skill, that was able to be neutralized. But much had not been heard from the NPP. But on this history data of their founder, Charles Gange Taylor, who is currently serving term in The Hague, the NPP now is speaking out in the Vice President vehement actions by the pro tem forming the committee. The Vice President has nullified that it does not meet her consent. So this is quite interesting. We're going to see moving forward what's going to be happening. It's too quick, too soon. We do not want to jump ahead of our own shadow here to make that sort of guess game to what we're going to be saying happening. But in the first place, why did the Vice President went so quiet? Is it that the CDC-led government was somehow strangulated the office of the Vice President? In that interview you listen to. But let's see here what the paper is reporting yet. And in a short while, we will give you the opportunity to be able to make a contribution into this evening's discussion right here on LPR TV. Okay, we won. Irrespective of the lack of support to her office. Now, the former NPP chairman, the chairman emeritus, remember Chief Cyril Allen was the chairman of the National Patriotic Party, NPP. When you talk about NPP, Cyril Allen, Chief Cyril Allen, they are the vertebrae, they are the big dogs in that party. And he has been very, very much vocal when it comes to what is happening within the Weah-led government. So this friction now, one can guess, or we all can come to a conclusion that is something that has been existing for quite a while, but he has been kept on the roll until recently the Vice President surfaced in an interview with the front page Rodney C. As a matter of fact, we extended an invitation here to have Mr. Rodney C. here to see what actually specifically he gathered from that interview. He promised to appear here. We still waiting to get that confirmation to set the date. And as soon that happens, we will bring that. And the reason for that, we want to know what did he gather from that interview and who really reached out to whom. Was it the Vice President Joe Howard Taylor to reach out with the front page, or was it Front Page Africa to Rodney C. that extended this invitation to the Vice President? And if that is the case, I have interest as to how that interview was generated and how it took place, because that opens a lot of things. That it was a very, very fascinating interview, and the Vice President did not hold back. This clearly suggests all that has been happening out there or behind the scene potentially surface that were able to give you and myself an idea some of the rough times between the President and the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. I am concerned, and every Liberian should be concerned in that direction, because there is no nation that will prosper where you have the sort of frictions of divide with the Vice President and a certain President. Because at times, the Vice President should proxy the affairs if the President is unable to attend functions or to go out there as well to lobby. But you remember, this all generated when the Vice President, some of our responsibilities as like the National Lottery, the Group of 77, the traditions is not constitutional. Let me get there here clear. But that tradition has been there from time to time. The Vice President of the Republic of Liberia is the overseer, has responsibilities with the national lotteries and that of the Group of 72nd. But you remember, somewhere, some down the road, what happens, what went wrong, those responsibilities were taken away from the Vice President by the President of the Republic of Liberia. So one can make an educated guess. That's where the whole frictions or disagreements or whole saga began, and it never ended until we reached at this point. And we are in a very consequential time here, folks, to let you know that in 9-10 months approximately, there will be a senatorial elections, and in 2023, there will be a presidential election. And so I have no doubt that these people, they are doing everything possibly can to put their house in order. And I'm also curious what are the opposition as well making preparation. But let me just go right back to this paper here to see some of the things that we are hearing now from the insider or some policies or decision maker of the National Patriotic Party, remember, which is also a member of the coalitions of the CDC-led government in Liberia. So let's see here what Chief Siri Allen is saying. Irrespective of lack of support to her office and the glaring tensions between she and President, the Vice President on Wednesday issued a statement clarifying speculations that she had resigned the post. You know, there's so many things since I can remember some part of this week here at almost 3 o'clock in the morning, pushing my hours as usual after having all of these soundbites. And I don't blame the people because they also want to get news to authenticate these information that is going out there, because there are so many soundbites out there from pro-government supporter to opposition supporter, everybody having their talking point. That came this week, during the course of the week, it was reported that the Vice President had resigned her post. Can you imagine? In fact, I believe it was on one of the social networks, but that's not something that I usually believe in. Welcome, Moses. I hope to get your take here. The Vice President is taking charge, and the National Patriotic Party is no longer holding back. They are speaking. Chief Siri Allen's, they are top insider of the National Patriotic Party. And let's see what the Chief Siri Allen is saying. The statement noted that the Vice President is aware of the trust and confidence reposed in her by the Liberian people and will continue to serve with distinction. So, I want to believe, and I have a little bit chat with a close source in the office of the Vice President, You remember because NPP seems to solidify her position behind Joe Howard Taylor. There is no doubt that there was some sort of friction within the NPP as usual, whether it was created whether it was natural or supernatural to weaken our base, that I cannot verify, that I cannot authenticate. But the actions by this pro-government network, Freedom FM, attacked by Sheku Shari, and according to the source that we spoke with within the NPP, they were quite appalled that the government, nobody came to our defense. And even if you listen to recent press conference, last week's press conference at the Charles Bayant Memorial Hall and Capitol Hill at the Ministry of Information, there was a reporter from Front Page, a lady asked a very excellent question. And I listened, it slipped my mind. I really wanted to play that clip. But for most of you who are news freak, like myself, always listening out there for news from inside Liberia, the Deputy Minister of Information for Public Affairs, Eugene Lamine Fagon, say the government GOL is unaware or nobody to report that. So the question then becomes, is it the media to report incidents or things that happen within the government? Come on, give me a break. That's not authentic. That's not a genuine talk. That's part of the weakness of this government. They knew very well at some point in time that questions would have come about. And he said, nobody reported it. And so it's like they're playing blind eared. You must be prepared for damage control. You must be able to have some of these things on hand. It would have been terrible if you faced like this international cable wire, be a BBC or VOA James Botte, to have asked that question, and for Eugene Lamine Fagon to come out to say that they are not aware of that or they did not see that video. All of the talk shows, be it in favor or against, everybody have that discussion. Oh my goodness. 267 number, just hold on to a little bit. We're going to be opening a line as usual to allow you to make your contribution. But I found that very difficult. And that's part of the inability. And these are things that we will talk because why? I do not want to see my country government to collapse. I know the danger and the catastrophe that is involved of any sovereign nation's government to collapse. But we will continue to have these sort of conversations genuinely, honestly, and point out these issues so that the government will gain her right footing to be able to have some of these things resolved. But I was very, very much disappointed on the tough talking guy, Eugene Fagon, who is the Deputy Minister of Information for Public Affairs, to have answered the question the way he answered. And I believe that gentleman, that lady, she did an excellent job. I hope I have some time on here perhaps to see what I can do. If not, we're going to keep that in tomorrow's editions of Freedom Watch program. He did not answer the question. It's like, because a couple of days have passed, so like, you know what, it's gone under the wall or it's been watered down the hill. That was not the case. That lady, that's my first time saying to some of our colleagues to be very forceful, and not just only forceful, they follow up the question. And he tried to pivot, but she brought him back to the point, and he was just unable to effectively answer that question. To say that they are not aware that there was an attack or there was an assault by this little kid who was acting like a little chihuahua, that was disrespect to the office of the vice president. I am not a big fan of Joy Howard Taylor because she has made some ridiculous statements down the road. It's time for them to eat the way eat, and if you are not part of CDC, it appears that you will be antagonized. You will not be part of the boat because it is their time. These are statements politicians often make somewhere in support of their leaders. And I believe at that time of that statement, and I know when she sat by herself deep down, will be seen as one of her regrets. And I hope when I visit Liberia again, I will have the opportunity to sit with the vice president like it happened a year ago. But at that time, the vice president, because the friction was already there, we were getting that what was unfolding between the vice president and that of the president. And I came to believe that because when that interview, when she granted that interview, that was very strange for the sitting vice president. The office is a political office to say, well, I will not talk politics here today. That sends a message. That was a signal to mean something was not right going on. But this time around, recently, a couple of weeks ago, days ago, not too long, we saw that the vice president broke silence. That itself is a justification to see what was happening. So let's see here what Chief Siri Allen and the MPP saying. She had electoral front page in an exclusive interview that though the decision to resign has crossed her mind several times. So it was a very, 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 very first time. And we got that there were the Council of Churches, some prominent citizens, and that was in the infancy of the CDC-led government with this whole thing, Rackman rule, and this misunderstanding, lack of corporations that was unfolding because there are some folks close to Dr. Weir, the president, have somehow barricaded, have drawn that sort of the red zone or red line, and the vice president was not getting closer to the president. And it's quite true that the vice president, she admitted, and that's one of the things that kind of get a trust, because had she not done that, the news, it was within the news cycle. People had that information. They would have come back strong at her. She admitted that she wanted to resign. But the Council of Churches and other prominent citizens in the country and outside of the country, there was an intervention because that would have been very, very damaging in the government in her emphasis, and that was overwhelmingly elected by the Liberians electorates over 61%. So for the vice president, within the short time, in the first half of her term, all right, in the 6th year, for the vice president to have resigned, that would have been very, very damaging. And it was even reported at some time that when the vice president went to see the president, she was denied. Can you imagine the sitting vice president to see her boss, who is the president? They should coordinate. The vice president should at times proxy the affairs of the president. The president should be able to confide in the vice president for the vice president to go on errands. And some other folks who close to Dr. Weir to stop or prevented the vice president. Anybody who have kind of that sort of stuff come to mind to have resigned. And I think that was ridiculous for them to have done that. And I think those are some of the mistakes. And it is unfortunate because even though she makes some ridiculous statements that I say, but I think she would have been a good asset. If you had a chance to sit with this lady, you will know that she is a politician, that you will know that she's a very smart lady. She would have been a very good asset. But the Nathaniel Tamangi, the Archie Bernard, the Bright, and other folks that are surrounding the president, it seems to me if they label you to this president, and the president in his own judgment to maybe to see things for himself, and to be convinced that certain thing is taking place is now right before he can take decisions all over it, it's not there. And that is not good for our country. Where you're going to have your sitting vice president and the presidents are not coordinating. How can the international community or donors to even do business with you? That's scary. And to see all of these things happening. So then the question comes to mind, how these people, they formed this sort of coalition. Was there sort of desperation because they wanted state power, because they wanted to lead in the country, and so they quickly, hurriedly, without settling their political ideologies, the differences, what I can take, what you can take, what I can work with, and sort out everything, put them on the table to come to a consensus? I strongly believe, seeing all that is unfolding right now, there was no detail, or there was no comprehensive discussions in terms of their collaboration. That what it simply would suggest to me and any other smart person, because to see that sort of things unfolding in the infancy of that of a government where they should still supposed to be a sort of honeymoon, maybe the first 6 for the first term, and that did not happen. That was terrible. All right, this line is bossing out as usual. Let me just bring folks here and see it, and we can have this here. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
I will call again. I am not sure if you are online, but let me call next time.
Okay, all right. I'm all right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all right. So let's see here. Let's go on further here. What the front page is reporting here. She will remain focused in fulfilling the mandate given to her by the Coalition for Democratic Change government as a result of the 2017 presidential elections. According to the front page, Africa. Welcome, President Tillman Collins. I hope to get your take yet. Collins is a former TLA member of the government of the Republic of Liberia. He's currently based in the USA, and I serve as the former president of the Grain Unit Association. He knows how his government work. I want to see how it looks like during his days on Capitol Hill. Let me just pick this number here. It seems to do. The folks say I'm talking too much here now. 612 number 3168. Good evening, caller. Welcome. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
I'm calling from Minnesota.
Yeah. Okay. If I will appreciate if you can speak a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So. Yep. What's your name? You say?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Are you hearing me, Mr. Son?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I will be coming to you, Mr. Sambat, talking to 612.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, you brought up a very fun topic tonight, which is very interesting. And the romantic point is that I think the vice president have found out that she's completely out of the picture. And I don't think that there will be a way for reconciliation. So I think that this is a major blow for the coalition. Because when I listen to the
you mean for the coalition? You know, there are so many coalitions that for the ruling coalition, right?
Yeah, the ruling coalition, the CDC in collaboration with the NPP. You know, yeah. So I see that from what she said, it will make Judge Weah to be more angry because there were some things that she spoke about, you know, and some people said that the woman, you know, people using sarcastic remarks on her that she and the president did that, but I don't think that is what she was talking about. Politically, both parties got married, so she was speaking in terms of a relationship